I eat one meal a day, drink one coffee, and eat like 3, 4 bags of candy.
Take J.J. Watt, that defensive monster who had to shovel in 9,000 calories daily just to keep his engine running.
I mean, honestly, I eat probably 70.
Then there's Patrick Mahomes, the MVP gunslinger whose love for ketchup and midnight munchies is almost as famous as his arm. Get ready, because we're pulling back the curtain on the wildest diets in the league. J.J. Watt. This guy wasn't simply a defensive lineman, he was an absolute natural disaster for offenses. After the Texans snagged him at pick 11 back in 2011, Watt didn't just become the team's poster boy, he morphed into one of the scariest defenders the game has ever witnessed. During his 12-year run, mostly in Houston, he snatched up the Defensive Player of the Year title 3 separate times, nearly grabbed the MVP trophy, and completely overhauled the Texans' history books for sacks and stripped balls. In his prime, Watt didn't just halt drives, he single-handedly demolished the opponent's entire strategy. Coordinators lost sleep over him. QBs had nightmares about him. And for the fans, he was must-see TV every Sunday. But staying that unstoppable took more than just insane gym sessions and willpower. It took fuel, massive amounts of it. Like I said, honestly, I'm putting food away probably 7 or 8 times a day, off the camera. Watt engineered one of the most intense nutritional regimens football has ever seen. In season, the man was inhaling 6,000 to 9,000 calories daily, split into 6 huge meals. We're talking double breakfast, double lunch, double dinner, eating every 90 minutes on the dot. It wasn't for fun, it was pure biological necessity. And everything started with eggs. He'd sometimes crush an entire carton in a day, alongside piles of oatmeal, toast, fresh fruit, and peanut butter. Then came the chicken breasts, often wiping out a whole batch in one go, plus pasta, sweet potatoes, fish, avocados, and endless gallons of milk. Eventually, Watt hit a wall where his body started failing him, even though he was by the book. He felt sluggish. His trainer pointed out the issue wasn't his work ethic, but his fat intake. Watt confessed the whole process was just draining. Shoving food down his throat all day, hungry or not, became part of the job description. He started viewing the dinner table like the weight room, necessary, monotonous, and psychologically exhausting. Once he hung up his cleats in 2022, Watt finally cut back, acknowledging that eating like a lineman forever would eventually wreck him. Next up, let's look at a guy whose kitchen habits will absolutely blow your mind. Jordan Mailata. This dude wasn't even in the script. An Aussie native, Mailata was raised on rugby league, nowhere near the gridiron. Actually, prior to 2018, he hadn't played a single snap of American football ever. He hardly understood the rule book. His exposure was limited to catching just the Super Bowl once a year. I kept asking myself what would give out first, but standing 6'8" and tipping the scales at over 350, he was impossible for scouts to ignore. Using the international player pathway, the Philadelphia Eagles rolled the dice big time, grabbing him in the 7th round of the 2018 draft. They knew exactly what they were getting: pure, unrefined potential with zero polish. What happened next is easily one of the wildest success stories in recent league history. Mailata spent years building his football IQ from the ground up, drowning in playbooks that looked like hieroglyphics. Early on, injuries pumped the brakes on his growth, but when he finally hit the turf in 2020, everything snapped into place. By 2021, he owned that starting left tackle spot. Fast forward to 2024, and he was cashing checks as one of the highest-paid linemen in the game. Then, in 2025, he made history as the first Aussie to start and win a ring, holding down the line during the Eagles' Super Bowl 59 triumph. The guy who was once a total gamble became the franchise rock, basically a human wrecking ball in cleats. But powering a machine that size takes serious fuel. Behind closed doors, Mailata sticks to one of the strictest, most superstitious food rituals in the sport. So then I hit up the pasta station. The pasta station. I'm telling you, I've eaten this exact same meal for 5 years straight. To keep that massive build, he's putting away roughly 6,000 calories every single day. But the real magic happens during game week, the night before kickoff. without fail. Mailata eats the exact same feast, 0 deviations. He downs a whole box of bow tie pasta, stacked with shrimp, spinach, sun-dried tomatoes, and drowning in cheesy rosé sauce. Add a 20-ounce steak, 3 slices of garlic bread, and a Sprite to wash it down. And game day morning, just as wild. He kicks it off with an 8-egg omelet loaded with spinach, mushrooms, cheese, and sometimes he throws in some avocado. He chases that with anywhere from 4 to 8 pancakes, size depending, and a glass of OJ. He's even hooked up to an IV drip while he eats to max out hydration. Now, let's switch gears to a player with one of the weirdest diets out there, DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was engineered to turn heads. When Seattle grabbed him in the second round back in 2019, he instantly looked like a different species compared to other receivers. Standing at a towering 6'4" and tipping the scales at 235 pounds, he was built like a tank with the throttle of a Ferrari. Metcalf didn't merely run pass patterns, he physically bullied defenders into submission. Between his internet-breaking 4.33 dash at the Combine and that mythological chase down of Buda Baker, he instantly reached superhero status. Across 6 campaigns in the Pacific Northwest, he cemented himself as the league's premier nightmare on deep balls, racking up Pro Bowl nods and smashing the 1,000-yard barrier repeatedly. By 2025, the Pittsburgh Steelers pushed their chips all in, acquiring the superstar in a headline-shattering exchange and locking him down with a vault-emptying contract. Between the hash marks, the man looks like a lab experiment in human perfection. Step into his kitchen, however, and the menu looks like it belongs to a trick-or-treater. While his peers are weighing chicken breasts and obsessed with macronutrients, Metcalf dropped a bombshell about his daily intake that left the sports world scratching its head during his prime years with the Seahawks. His dietary regimen wasn't just unconventional, it was practically fiction. Picture this: 2 brutal morning workout sessions, heavy lifting, sprints all on an empty stomach, 0 breakfast, 0 lunch, just a solitary Starbucks brew to keep the engine running. Then, late afternoon rolls around. Does he reach for protein? No. He downs 3 or 4 bags of gummy candy Skittles. Lifesavers. Pure sugar right around 4:30. As he put it, he survives on 1 actual meal, a single coffee, and a mountain of candy sacks. The only nutritional substance entering his body wouldn't arrive until 8 or 9 at night. Just a standard dinner right before hitting the pillow. A routine that would make any dietitian scream. The internet collectively lost its mind trying to understand how a gladiator with 0% body fat runs on high fructose corn syrup. He confessed it's a "don't try this at home" situation, chalking it up to freakish genetics and understanding his own biological rhythm. He eventually tweaked the madness, throwing in a second meal and curbing the sugar rush, mostly because parents were terrified their kids would adopt the Metcalf diet. Switching gears, let's talk about the man who turned a sweet tooth into a menacing trademark, Marshawn Lynch. Lynch was never merely a running back. He was a walking, talking vibe. After Buffalo snagged him in the first round back in 2007, he quickly proved he enjoyed running through people rather than around them. But the mythology really began after he was shipped off to Seattle in 2010. That's where beast mode was born, becoming the heartbeat of a dynasty and traumatizing defenses with a style that was less football and more assault. The man was unstoppable, 2-time touchdown king, 5 Pro Bowls, and the battering ram that brought Seattle the Lombardi Trophy in Super Bowl 48. We all remember the Beastquake 67 yards, 9 broken tackles, and a run so violent it literally registered seismic activity. His legacy is defined by grit, iron, durability, and a beautiful kind of violence. Surprisingly, that chaotic energy extended straight to his snack game. Lynch harbored one of the most legendary quirks in sports nutrition. He didn't power that engine with whey protein or kale smoothies. He fueled up on Skittles. We're talking popping handfuls on the sidelines, celebrating touchdowns with a sugar rush, claiming it was his secret weapon. To him, they weren't candy, they were power pellets. You have to wonder if he ever looked at a rookie and said, "Trust me, kid, eat the rainbow and you'll play like a Hall of Famer." It all started back in Pee Wee football. His mom gave him the candy to make him run faster. and Lynch just never stopped believing the magic. Once the broadcast camera zoomed in on his sideline snacking, the whole thing went viral. Suddenly, it was raining candy in Seattle. Fans would shower the end zone with colorful bags every time he crossed the goal line. It got so big that the candy company actually put him on the payroll, turning a childhood superstition into a brilliant marketing hustle. However, Lynch's relationship with food has a gritty backstory that isn't made for TV commercials. He once revealed a sobering memory from his struggles eating cereal, knowing it had been touched by roaches, not by mistake, but as a stark reminder of the poverty he escaped and refused to revisit. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have a quarterback who went green, only to stun the world with his 2024 menu. Enter Aaron Rodgers, drafted by Green Bay in 2005. He sat in the shadows of a legend for 3 long years before grabbing the keys in 2008. When he finally stepped under center, he rewrote the manual on quarterbacking. For nearly 20 years, he's been the gold standard of efficiency. 4 MVP trophies, a ring from Super Bowl 45, and a touchdown-to-interception ratio that looks like a typo. Season after season, he dissected coverages with surgical precision and a heartbeat that never seemed to rise. Rodgers was never about raw power, he was about calculation. And he applied that same obsessiveness to his dinner plate. While the big guys up front ate to stay massive, Rodgers ate to fight inflammation and stay limber. In his younger days, he played it loose with an 80-20 split, mostly clean eating, with room for a burger here and there. But as the hits accumulated and Father Time came knocking, he started treating food less like fuel and more like medicine. He went cold turkey on dairy and gluten, kicked the caffeine habit, and pivoted to eating mostly greens, sprinkling in a little steak or poultry here and there. Rodgers made it clear this wasn't about shedding pounds, it was about staying in the game forever. Once he went under the knife for his knee, he got obsessed with fighting inflammation, hiring pros to micromanage every single bite. You could see the difference instantly, dropping to 218 or 220 pounds. He hadn't been that light since the mid-2000s. He swore the clean eating did more than fix his body, it sharpened his mind, smoothed out his movement, and slashed his recovery time. But don't think for a second that Rodgers was a total saint with his diet. Even with that military-grade discipline, he's been the first to admit he can't say no to sugar. We're talking waffles, candy, ice cream. He cut the dairy for the field, but he never claimed to be a robot. Then came the clip that broke the internet. During a primetime game in 2024, the camera zoomed in on Rodgers, wiping his nose and going for a taste. Twitter went nuclear. They said he ate a booger right there on the sideline. Rodgers denied it instantly. Of course, but let's pivot to a guy who actually did shove everything in his mouth. Kalil. The Vikings took Kalil 4th overall in 2012, and the guy walked in as the most pro-ready tackle in the draft. A total sure thing. Coming out of USC, he was 6'7" with freakish speed and the kind of pedigree that screams future Hall of Famer. He backed up the hype immediately, starting every snap, making the Pro Bowl, and landing on the all-rookie squad. At 23, he looked like the rock the Vikings were going to build around for a decade. But surviving at left tackle in this league takes way more than just fancy footwork. It's about sheer mass and brute strength. And that's where Kalil faced his demons. Not in the gym, but in the kitchen. His metabolism was a furnace. If he took a break from eating for 2 days, he'd drop 5 to 7 pounds before the weekend was over. To hold on to his playing weight of 310 or 315, he had to be chewing on something constantly. We're talking 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, every single day of his career. Hunger didn't matter. He ate every 2 hours like clockwork. 3 giant feasts and an endless parade of snacks. He downed 3 massive shakes a day, each one loaded with 800 calories and 60 grams of protein. If there was a gap in the schedule, he filled it with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He lived on a mountain of oatmeal, bacon, eggs, pasta, hash browns, and sweet potatoes. Dinner was a monster, a 12-ounce steak, sausages, mash, sushi, and garlic bread, chased by a 1,200-calorie shake. He admitted there were times he felt like he was going to vomit, but he kept swallowing because he knew his body would shrink if he stopped. Now let's talk about the guy whose insane diet fueled the greatest run in sports history. Tom Brady. The man was never supposed to stick around this long. He was pick 199 in the 2000 draft, a sixth-round afterthought nobody cared about, just a scrawny backup from Michigan with a noodle arm. Then he went out and built the greatest resume football has ever seen. 23 seasons, 7 rings, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, and 3 league MVPs. He was the face of the league for 2 different teams. He owned 3 separate decades, winning titles in his 40s and completely rewriting the rules on aging. Everyone else got old, but Brady stayed frozen in time. It wasn't luck, it was a lifestyle. At the heart of it was the food. He built one of the strictest, weirdest nutritional plans the sports world has ever witnessed. They branded it the TB12 method, and it all revolved around one simple concept. Inflammation is the enemy. To kill it, Brady basically deleted half the modern grocery store from his life. No dairy, no sugar, no flour, no caffeine, no booze, no salt, and the big one, absolutely no nightshades. That means goodbye to tomatoes, peppers, mushrooms, and white potatoes. He even boycotted strawberries for years. 80% of his plate was plant-based. We're talking organic kale, spinach, and sweet potatoes to keep his body alkalized. The other 20% was top-tier protein, wild-caught salmon, organic chicken, and grass-fed steak. The meals were clean, repetitive, and honestly, pretty boring by design. Breakfast was usually just a smoothie with bananas, nuts, seeds, and some almond milk. Lunch and dinner followed a strict rule, a piece of meat the size of his palm, and veggies covering everything else. He even controlled how he drank water. No sipping during meals. He'd stop 30 minutes before and wait an hour after to help digestion. And he never stuffed himself, always putting the fork down when he was about 75% full. He kept his tank full but strictly stopped eating 3 hours before sleep. And dessert wasn't cake, it was straight avocado ice cream. But Brady wasn't a total machine despite the discipline. He owned up to having a few guilty pleasures now and then. We are talking a slice of pizza or some bacon, but only the top-tier stuff. Now, let's meet a guy with a sauce habit that will blow your mind. Patrick Mahomes. You cannot just call him the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs and leave it at that. This man is the ignition switch for one of the most explosive offensive units in the entire NFL. Taken 10th in 2017, he sat his rookie year taking notes behind Alex Smith. By 2018, he took the wheel and shredded the rule book. He put up over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, and snagged an MVP trophy in his very first year running the show. Since that breakout, he has hauled Kansas City to 7 straight AFC title games, 5 Super Bowls, and 3 Lombardi trophies. Coordinators lose sleep, defenses break down, and fans watch in awe. But that magic requires some serious fuel to burn. However, do not expect a typical super athlete menu when you look at what Mahomes is packing away. Forget weighing food or counting every calorie. Mahomes downs 4 to 5 meals daily. That is breakfast, lunch, and multiple dinners. The discipline stops there. Sure, he eats salmon, grilled chicken, quinoa, sweet potatoes, and greens to keep the engine running. But right next to the healthy stuff is a steady stream of junk food. And the ketchup. His love for the red stuff is legendary. He slathers it on steak, eggs, mac and cheese, turkey, BBQ, and, yes, ice cream. As a kid, he lived on ketchup sandwiches, just 2 slices of bread and ketchup. He admits it is gross now, but that obsession never actually went away. He even signed a deal with a ketchup company, making it part of his image. His late-night snacking habits are even wilder. We are talking spicy sweet chili Doritos, Starbursts, Jolly Ranchers, ice cream, Chipotle bowls, and Chick-fil-A biscuits. He owns a stake in Whataburger, too. So grabbing fast food is definitely part of the weekly routine. Game days are superstitious, featuring a grilled chicken sandwich, a pile of fries, and naturally, plenty of ketchup. He stays hydrated with Gatorade, Powerade, Essentia water, and knocks back pickle juice when his muscles cramp up. Flipping the script. We have a guy who eats clean but does it his own way. Jalen Hurts. He is more than just the Philly QB. He is the heartbeat driving one of the most versatile and dangerous attacks in professional football. Picked in the second round of the 2020 draft, Hurts grabbed the keys to the offense late in his rookie year. By 2022, he guided Philly to the NFC's #1 seed and a spot in Super Bowl 57, earning Pro Bowl honors. 2 seasons later, he captured Super Bowl 59 and walked away with the game's MVP trophy. Famous for his legs, cannon arm, and ice-cold demeanor, Hurts mixes elite athleticism with a football brain that terrifies defenses. Keeping up that level of dominance takes a lot more than just natural ability. It takes fuel, so he kicks off the day simply with eggs, turkey, bacon, fresh fruit, and maybe some toast or potatoes. Lunch is kept light, usually a Caesar or Cobb salad, so he stays energized without feeling heavy before hitting the field. He consumes a serious amount of fish, steak, and chicken, which essentially form his nutritional trifecta. Dinner is the main event, loaded with lean proteins like fish, chicken, or steak sitting next to a pile of veggies. If he burned a ton of energy that day, he tosses in carbs like rice, quinoa, or sweet potatoes to recover. He drinks water constantly, but also supplements that with protein shakes and electrolytes to stay balanced. Even with that structure, his diet screams Southern comfort and honors the food he grew up loving. Family recipe crawfish, hot fried chicken, and Bluebell butter pecan ice cream pop up as special treats. He also celebrates big wins with classics like chicken and red beans, apple pie, or a cold lemonade. For snacks, he cracks sunflower seeds, a shout out to his baseball days, and drinks shakes to keep the tank full. What makes Hurts's approach so interesting is the equilibrium he maintains. He does not go crazy with junk, but he refuses to give up flavor. Next, let's look at a player whose grocery shopping went viral. Kirk Cousins. Washington grabbed him in the 4th round. Back in 2012, he spent his early days holding a clipboard for Robert Griffin III before finally starting in 2015. He steered Washington to a division crown, smashed franchise records, and made the Pro Bowl in 2017. After playing on the franchise tag, Cousins moved to the Vikings in 2018 for a fully guaranteed $84 million. In 2024, he inked a 4-year deal worth $180 million with Atlanta, instantly leading the squad. His debut season was a roller coaster of highs, lows, benchings, and physical setbacks. Kirk Cousins is known for surgical precision and command on the football field, but that obsession with accuracy applies just as much to what he cooks. When the cameras are off, his nutritional routine is strict, scientifically tailored, and honestly, a little bit strange. Taking a page out of the Tom Brady playbook, he commits to a rigid lifestyle that fights inflammation and cuts out grains almost entirely. We are talking about a total ban on wheat, gluten, corn, rice, and dairy, plus specific veggies like green beans that his blood tests flagged as a no-go. Instead, he fuels his engine with high-quality lean proteins, mostly chicken, fish, turkey, and beef paired with very specific fruits and vegetables. However, his methods get pretty eccentric. He famously peels his hamburger buns to dodge the gluten, a quirk that fans love to roast him for. Man, I have been wanting to pull into this cookout on the drive back from the stadium forever. Are we doing this? We are talking fresh burgers here. Yeah, I think this is mandatory. Back in 2018, he posted a photo of his grilling setup on Instagram that didn't just confuse people, it broke the internet for all the wrong reasons. The steaks were so gray and looked so bland that people were legitimately debating if they were looking at tuna fillets or actual rocks. He eventually stepped up his chef game but kept the tradition alive, proving he attacks the grill with the same calculated focus he brings to game day. Whether it is crushing a turkey leg after a win or grabbing a cheat meal at Shake Shack, he has mastered the art of balancing strict health with supreme comfort. Go ahead and sound off in the comments with your take on his wild eating habits. Before you take off, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Rivals so you catch every new video we drop.